Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Sandy Bottom Homestead. Welcome back to our time machine. Yeah, we're going back again because as I harvested my sweet potatoes, I realized that now is the time to get ready for your next year's sweet potato harvest. And I just wanted to show you what we plan to do. I didn't want to put it in the other video because I didn't want to make it too long. So this is what we're going to do. And really, if you do it right, this will give you free sweet potatoes in the future, and you're not going to waste anything that you eat. I got my wagon here, so we're going to load up our sweet potatoes, and I will show you what I'm talking about here. There is no need to waste anything in the garden. All right, so first of all, you should definitely be starting your own sweet potato slips. We've done videos about that, and we'll do them again when we start. The reason why I redo stuff a lot is because there's always new people, and I understand that people don't really dig in the channel to go find anything, and we want to see when things come up. So we'll definitely make that video at some point, but this isn't a prelude to that. So when you're getting your sweet potatoes, like a lot of times you'll want to start sweet potato slips, and you'll want to take a nice sized potato and you know, use that to start, but that's not necessarily what we want to do. This is what you want to use. I mean, you can get 4 or 5 slips off this. You're not really going to eat this, and there's a lot of these within the garden. So as I go through here, I'm just going to make a separate pile so we can look and see how many of these we would actually be able to use and not waste our harvest for anything else. I mean, we want to use everything we can to consume, right? That's why we do this, is to consume. It's not really a game of, you know, the main goal here is not to save seed or make new stock or something like that. The main goal is to consume. By the way, I forgot to show you in the last video, there's my harvest find. I found a pair of scissors in my garden, which are actually very, very important to us. We use them to cut all of our line, but you can see we're starting to get a nice pile of these little scraps here. And this is just such a great tool. And this, like this one, for instance, was a potato that broke. So more than likely, it'll probably rot to some extent, and much more before we could get to use it. But once we cure it, we can use this to, and if it doesn't rot, it's always a gamble, but we can use this to start the next sweet potato slips for next year. Here's a pretty good example too. So you've got this crazy potato here. What we'll do is we'll cure this potato, but then we'll cut it here and then use this to grow more slips as well. So this is another way that you can do this and not waste your potato. Because I mean, ultimately, you look at the potatoes and you're like, well, that's not much of a potato, but I mean, that's, you know, that's a good side for a meal. So are some of these. Like these right here are actually some of our favorites. These little ones, we really like to eat these. Now these could go in between. Some of these could get a little funky. So if they do start to get funky, then we'll use those to start sweet potato slips in the winter time. There's always, you know, options to buy sweet potato slips and stuff like that, but I really like doing it this way. I like starting my own slips. It's become an addiction, really, because you know, you're totally self-sufficient. You know, here's another one. So that's a pretty good size right there. I would definitely use that. Now, if I had, and we've had harvests where we get a lot of these, and these are really, really good to cook. But if you just got like 1 or 2, it's no big deal. Just use it. And typically what'll happen, I'm trying to think which side. So the root's right here. You can see the root. The green will usually come out of the top here. So what we'll do is we'll bury these and then we'll grow them. And what you do is you just keep cutting them. So you get your sweet potato slip. As soon as I see roots on the slip, I cut it off with the piece of the root on, stick it in water, and then this will grow more sweet potato slips. So, you know, we'll get probably 2 at a time, but if you stay on top of it, you can easily get 4 or 5 sweet potato slips off this one sweet potato itself. So if we add in all of these little ones that we did, you can see that we could easily get what we want for next year. And if you want, you could definitely use you know, one of the smaller ones, or even a big one if you wanted, and get a lot of sweet potato slips. I'm gonna go through this bed here and we'll level it out, and I'm sure we'll get something to come to the surface. Not to mention we have all of these vines spread out, so because of the fashion, if you saw the way that I pulled them out, for instance, this one's way too small, but if we go through the vines at the bases and we find stuff big like that, or bigger than this, we would pull that off and use it as well. So we can do all of that. Look, here's one right here. Look at that. This could be a good one to use. So let's try this one and see. It may be a little bit small, but you know, if we get one slip off of it, it's not a big deal. And because we're starting these in a limited space, this will actually help, because you can put a lot of these in a small space. So we'll see if this will produce a slip, but it's hard to tell, but you never know until you try. That's a big mantra on this channel, is just try stuff out, you know? I mean, what is this gonna hurt? What is this gonna hurt to cure it with the rest of them, stick it in some dirt, you know? Is it gonna kill you? No. Is it gonna ruin everything? No. Only thing you're gonna do is learn more and be more productive and save yourself some money. Now, these are Georgia Jets, and we're thinking for next year, I might want to switch. I really want to grow a Carolina Ruby. So I think what I'll do is I'm just going to try and find a Carolina Ruby sweet potato and start my own slips. I don't really like ordering, so they're very expensive for what they are, but I always get my money back from them, you know, and what I mean by that is the amount of harvest I get, it usually all evens out in the long run. So I'm gonna try that for sure. We're definitely gonna do Georgia Jets again, but I think next year, because I'm doing the two separate beds that I talked about in the other video, I think I'm gonna do one bed of one bed of the other, and that way I can keep them separate, at least in my own mind. So we'll see how that works. I'll sift through all these vines at some point in the near future and see if there's anything I can use to start sweet potatoes for next year. I've got vines here, and I've got vines over here. I'll make a big pile, I'll sift through them all, and then what I'll end up doing is I'm gonna end up mulching all these down and adding them to my compost. It's really good compost fuel, so we're gonna do that. And if the deer doesn't come eat all of but even the vines will work. But we'll do all of that and see what we can find. You know, it's just so much to go through. It's a kind of crappy part of the job, but because we want to do it this way, it is what it is. It doesn't take too long. So we've got a lot to do, we've got a lot to go through, but this is definitely a way that you don't waste your harvest. I mean, look, most of us are in small gardens and we're doing small things, and we want to maximize the use of our produce, and this is a great way to do it. So I wouldn't waste anything big on starting sweet potato slips. Again, you can always buy them. I may end up, if I can figure out, this is what I'm gonna do. I think I just made up my mind. I'm gonna go to the grocery store. Yeah, you heard me. And I'm gonna see, you know, a lot of times if you go and you find like an organic sweet potato, they'll say what farm they're on. Then I'm gonna look up what farm it is, see if it has the variety of sweet potato that they grow. If they have the Carolina Ruby, I think I'll buy a handful of sweet potatoes and try and start slips that way. I think that's what I'll do to get my slips. Seems like a good method. And I know a lot of people grow Georgia Jets, and Beauregard's another popular one, you know, as far as commercial growers go. But in our area, in North Carolina, coastal North Carolina that is, there's a lot of sweet potato farms, and they grow Carolina Ruby. So I just really need to find a local farm that I can get a potato from and then go from there. And you know, I've grown grocery store garlic for years now, and it's done very well. And I bought it once and I've just reused the same stock over and over. And so this is my third year on these Georgia Jets. So I bought one set of slips, and then after 3 years, I'm still using basically off the same slips. So hopefully we can do the same. And then just, you know, it's all about taste testing the different sweet potatoes and stuff like that. But those little itty bitty potatoes are the way to go. Don't waste your harvest on anything crazy, and just remember that you can do it. You just got to try it, and you're not going to lose anything. You're not going to lose absolutely anything. Maybe a little bit of time, but you're going to learn a lot.